So go ahead and launching this thing live, even though it's not quite time yet, so we can go ahead and get some other things set up. For example, I'm going to broadcast this straight to the PNP UE page. So we're getting all that set up. Oh, we can also put this on Evil Beagle. Cool. So we'll kick that out there. Cool. It's text. Use the Q&A section. Brief. And I will have to rely on traditional. Okay, so I'm on air right now. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure I get this shared out. So sorry, it's being quiet, but that's just I'm doing setup stuff here. So if anybody watches this from the beginning, you'll see this kind of quiet. Sean's just ticking and tacking along and stuff like that, because officially this thing does not actually get off the ground until 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I just wanted to get things set up. So you're watching the pre-show, which is not much of a show, but it is pre. So there it is. I'm going to turn that fan on just because it's a little warm in here, actually. And it's actually a little warm for me, which is interesting because I tend to be cold. That used to be true. It used to be very, very warm all the time, but I lost a bunch of weight, and hey, there it is. So I'm just checking some stuff here. Got a new comment from Jason Child saying he wanted to echo Marlon's comment that the Mystery Man tier is very welcomed. I was curious if it's possible to spend a little more and upgrade from standard to premium. And I answered that one by saying that will depend on some numbers. We have to not commit to such things until we can unlock it at a level that we can definitely absorb those costs. Because, yes, the cost is more for the purchaser of that thing, but it's also more for us. And depending on how many people there is, there's a economy of scale involved there. It's an accounting thing that I don't completely have under control, but fortunately Len does. So, yay. I just gonna type that off for now. Okay, sorry. I got Michael Walsh's test thing there, so that worked. So just waiting for people to come on in. And at this point, I guess nobody quite can come in. They can just submit questions. We only had 3 players sign up, so we'll hopefully, of the audience that we get tonight, have 4 players, which means we'll have 1 person as unexpected. So, yeah, that's the case. I'm going to pop over and make sure everybody that's chatting with me over on Facebook realizes that I'm off of Facebook. I am already on and being off Facebook. Sorry, forgot to hit the go on air. Sorry, derp. Technology's hard. You hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm just waiting for you to say something. For fuck's sake. That's why I got to get off of the thing because people are just going nuts.
Does that look good?
Hang on, answering questions over in a second. Okay, there. I do not. Oh, okay. So, there's lots of people there. So, folks, if you're already in, start, say something in the chat so we know. One of the things I need to know is, you didn't ask anything, Michael. So, all right, so there's people in here. So let me go ahead and lay some ground rules for everybody who's here. Do not use the Q&A thing unless you are one of the players for the demo game. Normally that is for people to do the, to make sure they post an official question that then we share out. But for purposes of the demo game, we need to leave that open for the players to submit their moves while everybody else is chatting away in the chat. And that way we don't lose their this is what I want to do, or here's my dice roll effect amidst all the chat. Since I've got two channels to play with, I'm using the Q&A channel for the game. So just post your questions in the general chat, because Len Pimentel is co-hosting with me tonight, and he's going to help keep track of that and make sure that your questions do not get lost in the maelstrom of chat. So we have 3 players lined up tonight: David Scheinfeld, Michael Wash, and the person who's responsible for this happening tonight, because I did put up a bounty. I'm dropping dice on the floor because I'm a gamer and that's what we do. We put up a bounty during my last live chat on Facebook that said if we reach 12,000 a certain amount or a certain number of backers, that I would do this game. And here it is. We got there. I'm doing the game. So I need to know, is there anybody, let me look. Is there anybody who would like to play the 4th character in tonight's thing? Oh yes, there's a speaker floating around on your screen thing that you can tag that will let you actually hear what's going on. So there's that. So I have 3 people playing. The character of TK from the Quick Start rules is not currently claimed. Alabama and Vigilant and Citizen Soldier have all been claimed. So who would like to be our 4th player tonight? I will wait and see. Meanwhile, I would like to introduce, on my screen, he's over there. Come on, fingers, work with me. There we go. That's Len Pimentel, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Leonard Pimentel, the creator of Prowlers Paragons, vice president of Beagle Games, president of Lakeside Games, which is now kind of part of us, and my buddy, my brother, and I am the mastermind, the evil mastermind, to my #1 henchman for the design of this current rule set. Glenn, say hi to the nice people.
Hello, nice people. How are you? First and foremost, just want to say thank you, everybody, for showing up. For those back, thank you very, very much. For those who haven't yet, I hope that this video may make you change your mind or may make you decide to pledge more. I think my voice has made Sean run away. That's what it looks like from my perspective, because he appears to have vanished. So if that's the case, I'm going to take over, but I don't have a hat. I'm not sure if I can run this without a hat, because Sean always has a hat. So we're going to kind of figure it out. Hopefully he'll be back and he will still have his hat. Without that, I'm not sure if any of this is going to work.
Okay.
There we go. He's here, and we do have hats, so we should be good.
I have no idea what.
In any case, what I was saying was just, again, basically, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. Thank you for pledging. And during this, after this, if you have any questions, let us know. That's about it. Take it away, Sean.
Donnie, convince you to pledge more. Dude. Suppose we'll have to figure out how to do that. Although we'll tell you the one and only architect of the universe level is still waiting for somebody to snag that. So, you know, there is a thing like if somebody grabs it, we might examine giving another one, but we're not promising that. So it may be just a one and done. So if you want that one, might want to think about it. So we're going to ask one more time if anybody is saving it for Dork. Well, yeah, Robert's a little buried in things right now, so we'll have to see if he's going to want to do that or not. I'll let you two talk about that in the back channel, though. I do need to know if anybody else would like to play. Are we just going to go with the 3 players tonight? So is there anybody who's wanting to step up and play a 4th character for tonight's demonstration encounter? Because as I said, right now we have David Scheinfeld lined up to play Citizen Soldier. We have Michael Walsh signed up to play Vigilant, and we have Brett Smith signed up to play Alabama Slammer. And I'm more than happy to run a demo with you. But that does leave TK if somebody would like to portray that character tonight. So we're going to give it another couple of moments just to see if anybody pops in going, no, really, I want to play. But I want to establish the ground rules. I'm asking everyone who's watching tonight to please not use the Q&A section of this chat tonight. Even if you have a serious question you want to ask about the game, please post it directly in the chat. And Len's going to help me keep an eye on that. We also have Bill Keys. He's called Matthew Keys on Facebook. But Bill Keys, the Evil Bunny, is in the house. He is Evil Beagle Games art director and director of productions, and the guy behind the Blood and Justice, Welcome to Nocturne City project that we have as a potential unlock. Michael Serbrook, who you guys saw on with me last night, is also logged in. He is our chief operations officer, and he's behind some other really cool stuff that we have going on. If this thing really takes off, Well of the Worlds is a project that we've talked about a few times, and that's one of the ones along with Kaze 5 that he wants to do as potential down the road. So one of the things that have been talked about is how much support this system is going to have. This is going to have a crap ton of support. We already have an enormous number of people lined up who want to play. Mark Arsenault has made it clear he would like to do a third-party license thing and revive his San Angelo San Angelo. Am I getting that right? I think I'm getting it. I think it's right, San Angelo. But anyway, but his famous thing that he did for Champions, he wants to redo in Prowlers Paragons. Ross Watson has some ideas about doing his I think, oh God, Michael, help me out here. I'm getting my names mixed up. But anyway, so we've got people that are already wanting to line up. There's a hint that Darren Watts may do some stuff. We just chatted about that today. So we're going to be using a third-party licensing system that's very, very much parallel to what Pinnacle Entertainment does. Shadows Angeles, yes, Shadows Angeles is Ross's thing. So San Angelo, which is the famous setting that Mark Arsenault did through Gold Rush Games, he would like to do. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is between ourselves and really cool third-party people who are friends of ours in this business, we have a crap ton of people ready and waiting and anxious to start rocking out with support for this. So this is, between the core rules and great support materials potentially for just the core rules and the Omniverse concept, we're all over it. Yes, San Angelo Reborn, basically, because he wants to do a complete reboot.
And Sean, if I can just jump in here for one quick second.
Yes.
I've had a couple of people mention to me that what they thought killed the original P&P, correctly, by the way, was lack of support. And that's, at the end of the day, I was, one guy, and I do this in my spare time, and I have a family, and I just wasn't able to pump out stuff of any quality. And if it's not of quality, I'm not going to do it. So the game kind of stood on its own, but it didn't have support. So when Sean reached out to me and talked to me about the prospect of doing the second edition of this, one of the things that convinced me to do it was the fact that it wasn't going to be just me, so whatever we did was going to have support. So that's part of why we're doing this.
Yeah, sorry. Keep talking in line, because I realized that when I had to reboot real quick, the direct broadcast out to Facebook shut down, so I'm having to relaunch that real quick.
Got it. So what should I want? I could tell jokes. We could get to the twerking, but I think we want to try to avoid that if at all possible.
We're not doing twerking.
All right. Just throwing that out there. Yeah, I guess that we make that a stretch goal, or for that matter, we could maybe make me not working a stretch goal. It's much more likely to generate revenue. But in the meanwhile, if the folks here have had a chance to take a look at the quick start, or if they haven't and have any questions, go ahead and fire away while Sean is working his technical voodoo once again. Necessarily, he will succeed. He will do a great job of it because he has the hat. Notice here, no hat. So it's on Sean.
What the hell? Oh, come on. This thing's killing me.
So here's the other interesting thing. I sort of keep moving side to side, and that reason, I know you're all dying, wondering. The reason I'm doing that is because for whatever reason on this particular system, my camera has me reversed. So I've got the situation where if I move right, I'm moving to the left, which I find very interesting because for those of you who've been paying a little bit of attention, there's something called the Mirrorverse in the Pinnacle City universe. And the Mirrorverse has doppelgangers, and that is one of the sort of implied subplots of the Pinnacle City universe. And in fact, let me sort of, while Sean is working on his technical voodoo, let me throw this out. The villains book, the second book, the Most Wanted, it's kind of like, for me, it's a monster manual. It's a bunch of villains, and then a bunch of other opponents and some organizations and some rules, even if you want to play villains. But it's also a setting book, but I want to be real specific about this for those of you listening here. It's not a setting book like, let me talk to you about every neighborhood in the city. Let me talk to you about what's here. Not everybody agrees with me on this, but my feeling is that settings come alive through characters. We care about settings because we care about the characters who we've seen move through those settings. We care about Middle-earth because we cared about the characters we saw walk through it. Same with Westeros, same with anywhere else. And so I feel the same way about my superhero setting that I prefer to imply. Sean's an expert at doing settings and making them come to life. That's not my bag. I'm not especially good at that. So what I prefer to do is to imply or suggest settings through characters. So if you look at the core book, especially the 15 heroes and villains that are there, and you then also look at the 48 villains, at least 48, depending on, what else gets added through the Kickstarter process, and you look at their backgrounds, there are express and suggested and implied, almost like a little hidden plot. Not one plot, but a whole bunch of them going on underneath that I think is just kind of fun. Because you can dig it up, and you can then use it. It can inspire you in your own games. You can use sort of what's there or substitute your characters. Like one of the characters in the book, his sister's a villain, and it sort of lays a little roadmap for what you want to do in your own games without hitting you over the head with it. So I think it's kind of a fun setup, and I hope you guys will like it as well.
Well, I don't know what's going on. Apparently, I'm trying to figure out why it's not working the way it did before. Oh, now it's telling me I need some sort of special streaming software. It didn't require this just a moment ago, but now it wants that. So forget it. We're not doing the live on Facebook. So now I have to go back to Facebook real quick and tell everybody I'm sorry it's not going to work. So I'll be right back in a second. Take it away, Len.
Well, tell the Facebook people to come here. I mean, we're generally friendly, and
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. So yeah, they can come here. It should be okay. Exactly. They have to come here, snark. So anyway, so this all I was talking about the setting because of the fact that I've got this opposite thing going on. So when I move left, my image moves right, and if anything is ever going to come out of that door, I think it's going to happen while we're on this sort of reverse video thing. So fantastic, Michael. Fantastic. That's a lot of words, and you are the bomb diggity. So yeah, by the way, in terms of the villains, whereas the core book, the writing of it, for better or worse, is all me. I very quickly realized that I wanted other people involved in the villains book, and sure enough, everything that I farmed out to Bill or to Michael or to some other folks is way better than anything I could have done. So I, on the villains book, have a sort of sketch or an outline of who each villain is, what their background is, or what their major malfunction is. And then I give it to people who are way more talented than I am, and they come back to me with incredible stuff. And everything Michael's given me has been mind-blowing. So awesome, thank you, and I'm excited to see more.
Okay, so I've gone ahead and taken care of everything. This is the last and final call to have a fourth player for tonight's demo. So if I don't see a response to somebody saying they want to play TK for this in the next 5 or 10 seconds, I'm going to go ahead and start with the demo for the 3 players. And we'll go forward from there, and I'll do some setup, and we'll Crossan's in the pub. I don't know why, but okay, tell him hi and that I can't come play because I'm in here doing this. Scott Crossan's a good friend of ours locally who apparently, because tonight's normally our Evil Beagle movie club night, but I canceled that, and apparently he missed the canceling. So, oh well. All right, Aldo, sorry, we would have loved to have you play, but hey, that's more than fair. There's Michael. I don't know how to set that up. I'd have to cram him in here, and that's going to be.
We're probably good with 3, bud.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Serbrick, please stop posting questions to Messenger right now because it's actually distracting us from what we're doing here. So please turn your Facebook off and just pay attention here for now. Thanks. Because it makes noises, and those noises are distracting. So stop it. All right. So I will be, as I'm doing things tonight, by the way, rolling these cool things. Now, we're hoping at some point to talk to a manufacturer about getting official sets of these done. This is on the table for cool stuff in the future. We're not doing it for the Kickstarter because we made the decision that we did not want to be responsible for delivering something we didn't have complete control over. That's a thing that does happen to the Kickstarters, and we just want to focus on the things that we can control. But afterwards, we're definitely going to be talking to people about getting some official dice available and that kind of thing. All right, so here's how this is going to work tonight. I'm going to be running the game for our 3 players. They're going to be using the Q&A section to specifically report their actions and their results of their die rolls. In between is we're waiting for people to provide their responses to what's going on. There'll be in between moments where Len can talk about some cool stuff. Y'all can ask some questions in the chat, especially if you have questions about what you just heard in terms of rules and stuff. And Len's going to be also kind of backing me up and making sure he's giving me the reality check on any rules. Because the fact of the matter is we've been playtesting this thing for 5 years. There's been a lot of changes, very, very good changes, but occasionally the Swiss cheese brains go back and go, wait, no, the rule worked that way. No, not anymore. Remember, we changed it to this, then we changed it back to that. But that's what playtest is, and that's what rules design is. But anyway, so he's going to have me covered on that. I just want to go ahead and set some expectations. This is not going to be a full game. This is going to be kind of a short version encounter. So I want to open up with the characters being able to play a little bit with their talents, a little bit of investigative kind of thing, but we're going to kind of it's going to be very light on that. Because we don't have face-to-face and we don't have voice-to-voice, unfortunately, the level of role play we can do is not going to be as high as we'd like, but this is the venue we have. So another thing that's important to note in the game, and those who were on the Facebook chat live just a little while ago with Javert, you saw how exciting that was. Unfortunately, it was hard for Javert to do a lot of role play. He was literally on his phone in a garage in Italy while he was playing, how cool is that? We could play the game with him on his phone in the garage in Italy while I'm here in Denver, telling him what's going on. So the game allows for 2 styles of task and conflict resolution. There's the narrative approach, which is essentially the core approach and the intended approach of the game, where if you get a certain level of successes over the threshold or over whether the threshold's a static one or set by an opposition force, you have a certain level of control of the narrative. Like if you get 3 or more, I think it's 3 or more successes. No, 3 or more successes. You get 3 or more successes, you have full control of the narrative. If you only get 1 or 2 net successes over the threshold, you have control of the narrative, but the GM or opposition force gets to embellish that in some interesting and primarily story-cool way. So as an example, if I hit you really, really hard and knock you back, but I only got 1 or 2 points on you, then you can say, yeah, I took some damage, but I dug my heels in and I didn't go anywhere, even though you were trying to you were trying to push me back. So that would be the embellishment. You took the damage, but you can say, yes, but, and I did something cool, like I held my ground and grit my teeth at you. On the opposite side of that, say I go to hit you to knock you, all the way up against the wall, but I miss, but I only miss by 1 or 2. You can say, I didn't take any damage, so you totally missed. But I can say, yes, but you ducked and rolled, and I still pushed you a little bit closer to that wall. So
now, one thing I want to just volunteer here real quickly is that Sean's using the example of combat just because it's easy and something we as gamers can relate to immediately. But just keep in mind that he's using that just for the purpose of the example. In actuality, combat is the one place where the rules are a little bit more rigid, as maybe the wrong word, but a little bit more structured in terms of damage. And normally the 1 to 2 successes, 3 or more successes, providing you narration, full narrative control or narrative control with an embellishment, is normally done sort of in an outside of combat situation. Because combat has a little bit more rigidity in terms of like, I hit you for 3 successes, you take 3 damage, that kind of thing. But it's a perfect example, something we all relate to.
Yeah, but the point is, Len, I mean, we use it all the time. We do the mechanics, but we also layer in a little bit of the narrative thing as well in the combat stuff. So again, this game lets you run the style of table you want to, and it supports it 100%. So if you want to do lots of narrative stuff out of combat, but you want to be kind of really focused on the crunch in combat, the game absolutely works perfectly in that vein. If you want that narrative element for as part of your combat actions, the game 100% supports that too. So that was the narrative element, though. Traditional results is more the, you roll the dice and the GM pretty much tells you what's going on. And tonight we're going to focus heavily on that because, again, we're kind of, having the players invoke what they're doing, but they're having to type into the QA and to send it out, and then we're going to get results. And then I'm just going to use more of a traditional result approach to describing what's going on, whether it's a combat action or otherwise. All right. With that in mind, unless there is anybody got to like, no, wait, don't start yet because I have a thing, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So what I need before we do anything else is I just need to check in here. David Scheinfeld, Michael Walsh, Brett Smith, can you each please type into the chat window that you are ready? David's ready. Okay, he's playing Citizen Soldier.
By the way, Sean, as we wait, this thing is totally coming through on Facebook.
It is.
You look dashing, by the way.
I give up. I give up. Brett Smith is ready. Michael, we're waiting on you. Okay, sure, fine. Nos Vidania. Okay, we'll assume that's ready. All right, so here's what we got going on. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of world setup here. These are characters that exist in the Pinnacle City universe, which is very much open-ended, cool city with a world around it. The setup is this. The 3 of you know each other and have worked together off and on as heroes, both independently and occasionally Aegis, the super agency that frequently organizes paranormal care people to handle situations. You've worked together in different, as 2s, as 4s, sometimes called in as a major group. The 3 of you happen to be available when Aegis brings you in to explain that there is a problem with a group of guys who effectively are domestic terrorists. You've got a guy called the 2A Venger. Wait for it. The 2A Venger and his RTB Patriots. RTB stands for Right to Bear Patriots. They feel that paranormals, especially those that work with the government, or any government restrict their right to defend themselves and to determine their own destiny. And there is, in fact, an organization that strongly, they call themselves the Guard, and they strongly advocate humanity's right to set its own destiny outside of the control and influence of paranormals and government agencies that use paranormals to enforce their will. So these guys have themselves enhanced cybernetically and bionically, and they get like really cool high-tech armor and things like that. And they use tech and weaponry to kind of oppose what the paranormal world order is what they call it. And so this group, the word is that the 2A Avenger and his RTB Patriots have recruited a handful of well-known paranormal or technologically enhanced paranormal operatives. One is known to be a Skimmer, and Skimmer is one that Alabama Slammer is going to be worried about because Skimmer is a high-tech speedster. The other one that everyone's concerned about is Scorpius, and he has a large battle suit that does the whole scorpion tail thing and has a blaster attached to it. And so there's a great deal of concern about that. And of course, the 2A Avenger himself is a very high-tech guy with weaponry and battle armor in the whole 9 yards, and of course the RTB Patriots. So your job, folks, is to get out there and try to, is it a guy or a girl? They're all, the Skimmers, they're all male. All the bad guys in this case are male. Now, some of the RTB Patriots are male or female, but the actual 3 named paranormal guys are all male. So you 3 have been asked to investigate this situation. They have a compound somewhere out in the wilderness outside of Pinnacle City. Probably, the estimation is somewhere within a 30 to 50 mile radius of the city. But they've apparently done a pretty good job of hiding themselves so far. They have committed some crimes. The RTB Patriots have been sent into the outer areas of the city, and they've hit some ammo, basically some gun stores for ammo. They actually hit a National Guard convoy recently and got a bunch of weapons and material supplies from that. And they seem to be escaping into the wilderness to hide this stuff and prepare some sort of an action. So you're being asked to track these guys down and stop them in their compound before they're able to launch whatever their plan they have. So that being the case, Citizen Soldier, Vigilant, and Alabama Slammer, this will be a point where you guys would want to look at your character sheets, and everyone they're playing characters out of the Quick Start rules, which I will remind you again, absolutely free on DriveThruRPG. Grab that link, download it, share it far and wide. Make sure all your friends see it too. It's a full, complete thing of the rules. It has 4 great characters in it, which these are 3 of those 4 characters. So that's what these guys are playing off of. So this is going to be probably, I'm just throwing suggestions out, an investigation kind of thing, perhaps. So whoever is really good at investigation is going to want to try to use that kind of thing. Survival might be another useful talent here. That you, for actually going out in the wilderness and doing some tracking. So these are suggestions I'm throwing out to you, but I am open to whatever you guys want to come back to me with and suggest that you're doing. We've got some responses in the QA, so let me see what we've got. Just Nosvidanya. That's not an action. That's just a cute statement. All right, cool. So talk to me, guys. What do you want to do here to initiate your search and investigation for the 2A Avenger and his team of high-tech domestic terrorists? And meanwhile, does anybody else have any questions? Well, I'll tell you what. The character sheets, if you look at them, they have abilities, which are their raw natural abilities, like agility and might and perception. They have talents, which are their things that they're studied, trained, practiced at. Then they have their powers. And the powers are superpowers and specialized training that gives them superhuman abilities in one way or another. Then there's also perks, which you can buy, which represent your wealth, your contacts, your resources. So those are the kinds of things that they're looking at on their character sheet right now. So Brett Smith is saying that Alabama Slammer has 3D and all skills except charm. Now, let me point out the human range of ability, so you have an understanding of what those mean. 1 through 6 dice is the human range, a human being. So 1 die is going to be somebody that you know that's really, really bad at something. Like if they have 1 die might, they can barely pick up their bag of groceries. 2 die is low side of average. Most people have 2 dice in things that they don't really work out in or try to improve. 3 dice is high end average. That's you know a guy if he works out pretty regularly in the gym and walks and whatever, he's pretty healthy. 3 die toughness, he's probably got 3 die might, 3 die agility. 3 dice is solid kind of thing. And in traits, if you have 3 dice in something, you can probably get a job related to that. 4 dice, you can absolutely get a job related to it. In terms of 4 dice might, that guy who's at the gym who's lifting the ridiculous amount, that's a 4 die person, and you know, like maybe 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 has 4 dice of something like that. Or 4 dice computer technology, they're the person everybody else is asking to fix their computer at work and that kind of thing. 5 dice, you might have met somebody who has 5 dice in something. You've certainly heard of them, right? You read about them. It might be somebody you went to school with or whatever. 5 dice is like really, really freaking good. They are the top people at Google who are doing web management and web design. They're top rocket scientists at NASA. Will have 5 dice in science and technology. 5 dice academics. There's going to be a top end professor who's actually respected in academia. That kind of thing. 6 dice. You've read about them. There are legends about them. 1 in 1,000,000 or 1 in 10 million. Like the guy I never can remember his name, Paul something or other, who lifted over a ton. World record, highest amount of lift. He had 6 dice. Einstein, obviously, 6 dice intellect. That kind of thing. So 6 dice. Sorry, that's Raya being whatever. So 6 dice is like top end human. It's right on the edge of superhuman. It's right on that edge of paranormal and preternatural. 7 dice and above, you've gotten into the superpowered thing. So most challenges are going to be based on the idea of what's going to be difficult for a human, unless you're dealing with a truly superhuman kind of challenge. Right now, we're talking about investigation into a domestic terrorist group. So this is the kind of thing that federal agents should be able to do, and that kind of thing. Hang on just a second. I'm going to throw the dog out since she's being a pain in the butt.
While Sean is throwing the dog out, let me volunteer something. I put it in the chat, but just there's a whole section in the GM in chapter 9 about when not to roll. And you don't have to make a roll to have a good idea. There's lots of times when just a good idea is a good idea, and if it makes sense, Sean may well, at a minimum, or any GM, may well just make it successful because it's a good idea, or at least give you a bonus to the roll. So in this game, like I think in any role-playing game, everything from this to lasers and feelings, a good idea is a good idea. So just think about what you're going to do and do it.
Right. So he's absolutely right. However, for tonight, and the dog just opened the door, so we're just going to have to deal with that around. Corinne, could you please throw the dog out in the yard if she's going to keep doing this? Thank you. Okay, so
dog not included.
So tonight, because I want to show off the rules, he's absolutely, there's the one not to roll, but tonight we're going to roll because I want people to see how this works. So first off, we have Michael Walsh as vigilant, saying he'd like to use a police scanner earpiece to audibly scout for location of the next strike. Investigation 6D. So he is an amazing investigator. He is Sherlock Holmes, Batman level kind of investigation skill. Some might argue they have like 7 or 8s, but he's really, really good. And he wants to spend a resolve for the equipment to do this. I could accept that. His character, it makes sense that they would have that kind of equipment. And he's talking about mundane gear anyway that should make sense for a character like that. So I'm not going to ask him to spend a resolve for that. That makes sense for the character of Vigilant. So he has that automatically. And we're looking at that 6 dice. Now, at the same time, David, who's playing Citizen Soldier, would like to use his contacts to start investigation for when they might surface. So the way I'm going to interpret that is that Citizen Soldier is assisting Vigilant in his investigation by bringing his contacts in and gathering up that information for his contacts to improve Vigilant's efforts. And then at this point, trying to show, well, it didn't come through. I don't know why it didn't come through, but Brett's character, Alabama Slammer, is like, I will take a run around the outskirts of the city, scoping out their compound. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to ask, what is Alabama Slammer's perception ability, because this is going to be like literally physically looking at and searching things. So we're going to compare Alabama Slammer's perception ability to what level of investigation that Vigilance is using. So Brett, can you let me know what Alabama Slammer's, oh no, it did come up. I just was in the wrong window to see it. So Brett, can you tell me, please, what is Alabama Slammer's, actually, you know what? I probably got the character right here. I do. Hey, Perception 6D. Sorry, I actually have it over here so I can look for myself. So her 6D is comparable to Vigilance 6D investigation. There's a thing about assisting that you have to be within a certain level of competency to be effectively useful to help somebody else's thing. So if somebody else were like a 2D investigation trying to help, you know, Batman in 7D, they wouldn't be anywhere in his ballpark. So they'd be more getting in the way than helping. So they really wouldn't add any dice. However, your 6D perception is in the same ballpark as his 6D investigation. And again, David came with a great idea about his contacts, because perks are really great that way. So I'm going to call this a bonus of 2 dice from the assistance of both of those people and the effective things that they're doing. So at this time, I'm going to ask Michael as Vigilant to roll 8 dice for his investigation roll to see how well he does in finding the lair or activity, action, where the activity is for these guys. Now, as he's rolling, I'm going to establish a threshold for the action. Challenge rolls, if it's easy, you set a 0. So as long as they get at least 1 net success, they're going to succeed. Threshold of 1, they have to beat that. That's an average difficulty. 2 is hard. 3 is daunting. 4 is brutal, and so on and so forth. You start getting to some really superhuman levels there. Now, these guys are good, right? They're survivalists. They've been really good at avoiding and evading people's investigations up to now. I'm going to call this hard. This is a hard investigation, which has a threshold of 2, but you're rolling a lot of dice here. So we're going to see what you got. And let's see. Michael, so he's showing us that he rolled a 6, a 4, a 4, a 4, a 3, and a 1. That's a really, really good roll. So if anybody doesn't know, 6 is going to count for 2 success. Each of the 4s counts as a single success, because evens count for 1 success each. 6s count double. The 3 and a 1 don't mean anything, but 6, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 successes that he got on that. All right, there was just a couple of things. Okay. I don't know what the bonus 6-1 is supposed to mean. Oh, the bonus. Okay, the bonus dice. Right. Nonetheless, okay. So bonus. Okay, I see what you did there. You said the bonus dice that they gave you. Nonetheless, so the point is, you blew the doors out of the water on the challenge. I made it a hard challenge, but that's 2. You got like 4 or 5 net successes on top of that. So massively successful. If we were in a normal narrative, everybody was on the narrative thing, I would have you then give a full description of how you basically dominated that challenge. And you would get to set the scene and describe the fullness of that experience at that time. Tonight we're using traditional results because the chat versus voice makes it a little complicated. So in this case, what I'm going to do is kind of cut to the chase and say, you got all over this between citizen soldiers, investigations, or his contacts, and getting all the information you could from all the different police agencies, the local park rangers, and everybody else that he could contact and interact with, who all have an incredible amount of respect for him. Citizen Soldier is very much a very strong, powerful, USA respected, kind of in the same vein as Captain America. He's very, very respected for his service and his loyalty and his general goodness. So they're all feeding information without any making you have to fight for it or whatever. And then with that, you're able to sort of point Alabama Slammer at the right area for her to do her quick flash by, running around and checking, which, because she has the ability to move so fast, she can do so in a way that's likely to evade most forms of detection. And because you guys got a really, really, really good roll, I'm not even allow for a chance for them to spot her when she comes looking. And then you take all the information that both of them provide and you pinpoint the location, and you find basically it is an old compound that was used decades ago for some wilderness training. It's long since been shut down by government cutbacks, but was kind of quietly acquired by a shell company and refurbished and turned into a survivalist training camp that has then got shut down and no longer in active service, and in fact is a secret base for these guys. So now you have a location to go in and deal with. So at this point, I would like to ask how you guys want to approach this mission. Do you want to try to sneak in? Do you want to just do the glory, run in, bash the doors open, and start taking them down? I need you guys to decide what you would like to do. Michael's asking in comment, since I have Scorpio as an enemy under flaws, if I react to that, would that earn a resolve point? I'm going to let Leonard take that one. Leonard?
Sorry, I'm actually trying to look at the Facebook so I can answer questions from the Facebook feed as well. So say that again, buddy.
Look at the very bottom where Michael Walsh was asking about. He has so here's what's ironic. I created Scorpius is a character I made that's not officially in the Pinnacle City thing, but it turns out that your character has Scorpio, so we're totally going to call that the same character for the purposes of this thing. It's a beautiful coincidence, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, react badly, and then yes, absolutely.
So what happens there is that no, it's fine. We're gonna, for purpose of this, we're gonna say Scorpio is Scorpius and just say it's the same person. Like Scorpio got an upgrade for purpose of this adventure. So yes. So the point is, since I did not specifically make Scorpius do something terrible to your character as a point of the scenario, they just happen to be in the scenario. The way you will get resolved for this is if you cause something bad to happen to yourself, which could be, you lose a page of action as you freeze when you see them, or when they attack you, you freeze and you automatically fail your defense rolls, or something bad happens within the combat against that character between the two of you, that will earn you a resolve. It could be painful, but it will definitely earn you a resolve that you can then use for other stuff. So yes, we're the US version of Scorpio Comrade. Yes, that works very fine. No problem at all. All right, so there it is. So what I need, they have posted in the QA. So let me go over to the QA and see. Time to shut down these Boy Scouts. May I interpret that as Alabama Slammer has just said screw it and she's running on in? Hydration, very important. And Citizen Soldier says going guns blazing. So I'm going to just assume we are doing the glory smash. Now, having said that, Vigilant, if you want to say you're going to let the two of them do that while you try to pull something a little more sneakish, we can do that. So when we get to your action, you can just say, I didn't go in with them through the front door. Quirk impulsive. You know what? Yes. So because this is a thing, you get a resolve for that. Because you're instead of even waiting to see if Vigilant might want to do something else, you're just jumping on in. So yes, take a bonus resolve for that, Brett, because you've invoked a flaw and you're doing something that's not particularly smart, but it is in keeping with your character. All right, so what we are going to deal with now is what we call basically initiative edge. We check out everyone's edge. Now there's two ways to use edge in this situation. One way is to just go with the static number, and it just is going to stay the same through. You use the edge number, and whoever has the highest edge number, they go first, and then we count it down from there. The other way to do it is if you like the idea of random, certain characters are going to roll stupid amounts of dice for this. You can actually take the entire edge value and roll it and count successes like you would for anything else, and that way you can end up with some more variability, randomness to the initiative system. For campaign games, I will frequently split back and forth between. If it's not a particularly important battle, I will use static. If it's like a big, epic, important battle, I'll have everybody roll. At some point, somebody will go, that was a crap roll. I'm going to spend a resolve, so I can go ahead and jump the order and be on top. So it's a much more meaningful combination of random and tactical decisions at that point. But for tonight, we're going with static. So what I need to know is, what do I need to know? I can actually look. So Alabama Slammer has an edge of 36. Skimmer also has an edge of 36. However, because this is a heroic game, Alabama Slammer gets to go first. And then at that point, Skimmer will go, and then we'll figure it out who's going to go after that. So let's see what we've got over here. Yes, so that's Vigilant saying Silly American Antics and goes around to the back. Of course he does. All right, and Edge 36. So yes, we've already established you get to go first there. So what is your opening move? As you're running in, I'm going to tell you, there are groups of the RTB Patriots. There's like an outer out in the field kind of compound. You've got groups of 5, like fire teams, basically 5-man fire teams. There are 5 of these 5-man fire teams that are the RTB Patriots. So basically 5 groups of minions. And these are threat level 4. Let me make sure, let me clarify myself on that. Yes, they're threat level 4. So if there's ever like 1 or 2 of them, because they're armed, they're going to have 6 dice for attack. If 3 to 5, they'll have 8 dice for attacks. You tell me, Vigilant, would you have attacked during the day or would you have waited till nighttime? I will let you decide that. Night, of course. Well, night, of course, comrade. Yes, of course. Of course, all these guys have night vision goggles. So, and there's spotlights everywhere. So the place is lit up. Well, no, I take that back. It's not because they're trying to hide. I figured myself on that one. You know, so it's nighttime. So they don't have it up there. They've actually got what are called blackout lights. So very, very deep red that they use so they can see. It's pointed downward so that you can't see from above. These guys are pretty solid with their training and their background. Somebody knows what they're doing. But, you know, so at this point, none of them are in a situation where they're going to suffer vision penalties. But, you know, if there's a way for you to make use of it, it will certainly make it easier for sneaking around for a character like Vigilant. But we are back to we've got the guys outside, and then there's an inside main compound, which is probably where the bad guys are. I'm keeping it very simple for the purposes of the setup here, folks, because, again, I don't have a map or anything. So here's what we got Alabama Summer doing. Going to run through them, causing them to get caught in their own crossfires. Okay, that's very, very cool. I like that. Now, there's actually a special maneuver called Lure, but in this case, I think we're just going to call it a special effect of a super speed attack, and that's perfectly fine. It's a nice, simple way to do this. How many fire teams do you want to try to affect? Because each group of minions counts as a single target. So I want to know how many of those targets you want to hit, because that will determine how many dice you're going to be able to throw at this. So I need you, Brett, to decide how many groups you want to try to tackle. Because there's multiple actions in this game, folks. You can go after a single target and do a single thing to that target, and you get all of your dice. If you try to do 2 things, whether it's to the same target or to different targets, then it's -2 dice to each of your actions. And if you try to do 3 things, it becomes -4 dice, and it just gets cumulatively more difficult from there. It's actually very similar to Savage Worlds in that respect. You want to go 2 of the 3. I said there's 5, but that's fine. You're going after 2 of the 5 groups. So yeah, there it is, 2 of the 3. But actually, what I said, there's 5. They're spread out in like a pentacle kind of thing. But you're going after 2 targets, which is fine. So that means that you are going to use your super speed to hit 2 different targets. That means you're rolling 10 dice because you're trying to hit 2 different things at the same time. So your super speed of 12, you're going to get 10 dice. So go ahead and roll for your first attack. The first group is going to roll 4 dice to try to defend themselves against you. And again, I'm counting evens, and 6s get to count double. So waiting to see what you tell me you've rolled there, Brett. While I go ahead and show the folks at home that I rolled usual Sean, Yeah, that's actually not bad for 4 dice, though. That's 3 successes on 4 dice. So actually, they did pretty good. But a bunch of heavily armed militia guys against Alabama Slammer, the odds were not really good in their favor. I'm waiting for that die roll there, Brett. And the whole world is watching. Well, 35 people are watching at least. Not counting all the people who are watching on Facebook. Up, we have a report, and it looks like so Vigilant, we're not to your action yet. You're going to have to hold on. So I'm going to hold that in reserve. We'll get to that when it comes your turn. I still need to get Brett's roll. So I'm waiting on Brett to tell me what he rolled. But let's check what Vigilance. Vigilance Edge is 18. I think he's going to actually go next. Citizen Soldier's Edge is 12. So he will go after that, and then the 2 Avenger. Actually, Skimmer's going to go before any of you guys, and then it'll be Vigilant, then Citizen Soldier, and then the 2 Avenger will go after that. So, did we lose Brett? I wonder if we lost Brett. Oh, there we go. Finally. 8. Oh my God. 8 successes. Brett rolled 8 successes against my 3. So, because he's a super speedster, using super speed, he would get double net successes. So he would actually take out 10, but there's only 5 in that group. So the first group doesn't even get a chance to raise their guns. They're like, what the? And and guns are flying everywhere, and people are flying everywhere. And at the same time, there's blasts coming from the other group of people who are like, what's going on over there? So as you're running through them, you're actually getting them caught up in each other's crossfire. So go ahead and roll again versus the other group of minions to see if they can do any better, or maybe you do worse. So I did worse. I got 2 successes that time. And waiting for your result for how many you got on that second attack there, Brett. So like I said, I got 2 successes. Guns are flying, bullets are flying everywhere. So there's also a thing called auto success. So at any time a player wants to just get through it, they don't have to roll the dice. Every 2 dice they have, rounding up, they can count as a free success and just boom, just be done with it. So they can go with 10 dice. Brett could say, I'm just going to take 5 successes and be done with it. And that would be fine. All right, so 6 successes against my 4. That would be a net total of, or against my 2, would be a net total of 4. 6 minus 2, 4. So you got 4 net successes. Now, that would normally mean he only took 4 of 5 people out. But because super speed has that special ability, it's designed really to, it's a kind of thing that really is great against minions. He gets to double the net successes that Alabama Slammer gets against that group. And boom, exactly as described, between knocking a few of them out, taking their guns away, the rest of them shoot into each other, and they all fall down. So that was an excellent opening move on the part of Alabama Slammer as she gleefully takes out 10 guys. However, right about then, all right, babe, let's see what you do against somebody faster than you. And out comes Skimmer, zipping out towards her. Like, I'm the fastest guy in this town, and I just got here. So he comes flying out, and he, of course, also has super speed. And he is going to just come up and just come at you with like rapid fire super speed punches. So this is a villain versus a hero situation. You have 2 choices here, although your most likely choice is you're going to use your super speed to defend, and he doesn't have anything on his super speed or his abilities that would give you reason not to do that. So we're going to assume that you would want to use your active defense. Now, that being the case, there is also the option of what's called passive defense. And there are some situations where you're not able to effectively use your active defense, like against an area effect attack. So you'd want to compare that to your passive defense and see if that was going to do better for you. In this case, Alabama Slammer basically has a default passive defense of 5D against non-lethal attacks and really only 3D against actually lethal attacks, although she does have that real cool phasing thing, but that's kind of hard to do. So you're really going to need to hope that your super speed helps you out here. So you need to go ahead and roll your 12 dice for your super speed, while I roll my 12 dice for his super speed. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. I love rolling like giant handfuls of dice. It's one of the things I love about this game. All right, well, let's see. I'm pulling out only my even numbers. Ooh, there's a number of 6s in this one. So, Brett, I might have hurt you there. We shall see. Oh, I should also point out, since there are 3 players, I get 3 what are called adversity. Now, this is not a huge, major, high-rated conflict situation, so I'm not going to get like an encounter rating additional number of adversity. So I'm only going to have the 3 points of adversity, but I can spend adversity in very similar fashion to how other people spend resolve. Resolve can be spent to reroll. It can be spent to add additional dice, to try to change the conditions of the situation, to stunt, all kinds of stuff like that. And bad guys can use adversity in some similar ways, but they have a couple extra cool things as well. 9 successes Brett rolled. So let me show that to everybody. That Brett generated 9 successes. Now, I got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 successes from Skimmer. So Skimmer comes flying out and he's like barely touching the ground. He's like running across like this weird friction field that he creates with his tech. So I got 11, you got 9. That means that 2 points of health are going to get through on damage against Alabama Slammer, who has a health of 6. So you would literally mark off 2 points, and you would only have 4 left. Now, you do have the option, if you wanted to either re-roll, which I don't know you do, because that was a really good roll on 12 dice, or if you want to maybe spend some resolve, you have 4 now because I gave you 1, to try to get some extra successes out of that, or do you just want to go ahead and take the damage and move on? You're not out, and as long as you're not out, you're still going on. And we already got people saying, "Gamble, baby, re-roll," which I know players like Corinne who would just keep re-rolling even though whatever, because sixes are special. Sixes are going to give you those extra results. But I need to know if you want to spend anything or stand on that, Brett. So let me know pretty quickly there, please.
By the way, Sean, that's Josh Hoad, our editor, our other editor and contributor of Villains.
Josh, dude, thank you very much. I'm actually looking forward to picking up your series as soon as I get done with the other 2 series I'm in right now, because Len says they are amazing. So I'm looking forward to working with you on some stuff. All right, so let's see what we got there. Spend 2 resolve and laugh at him about hitting little old me. Well, you don't get to automatically do that. You spend the 2 resolve and roll 2 more dice. So that's how that works. So you spend the 2 resolve. That doesn't automatically negate. That just gives you 2 more dice to roll, and you got to hope that those dice come up. So go ahead and roll those 2 dice and see what they give you. Because there's not a 1-for-1 exchange there. It's still kind of random. So if you get 2 successes, you're fine. But if you don't, you're taking whatever damage you didn't bleed off with those resolve. By the way, there's not an absolute rule about this, but most GMs I know are like, when you choose to spend, that's what you spend. So you can't spend 1 and then spend another and then spend another and spend another like that. You go ahead and just say, I'm going to spend 2 resolve, and then if it doesn't work, you move on. Otherwise, it kind of gets ridiculous. So Brett, what did you get on those 2? 2 6s. He got 2 6s on that. So, in fact, what happens is he comes at you. You're like, whoa, this guy is incredibly fast. You got really, really kind of thrown off at it. So you trip and stumble a little bit, but then you get your feet back, and just in time, you manage to get just out of the way, and like his super speed fist comes like right past your nose. This is Eobard Thawne and Flash going at it. That's what this is. It's crazy. And the rest of you who are watching, you can't see it. Just 2 blurs flying past each other. All right, so that was Skimmer on 36. Now my next one is 9, but you guys get to go first. Now we go back up to what Vigilant wanted to do. So we're finally pulled out. Michael Walsh had originally said Vigilant would like to reach into his utility belt and throw a few metal balls with knockout gas at one group. All right, well, I haven't had a chance to see. Do you actually have that kind of thing? Let me see. Super sensitive swing line, martial arts, whatever. So I don't actually see a utility belt per se. So what I'm going to say is that is going to cost you a resolve to say that you have something like that, because it's not currently on the character specifically. But that's fine, because, oh, he has preparation. You have preparation. You have the preparation ability. I forgot the Batman ability. I'm just looking at it right now. So you can resolve to have the perfect mundane item, tool, weapon, whatever. So now, yes, for that, you will need to spend a resolve. No problem, preparation. Yes, exactly. So that being the case, you're going to have this cool thing. Now I'm going to call it, basically, we're just going to call it like a gas bomb that does like 6 dice in a small area. So you'll be able to target one of the groups with that. So go ahead and roll 6 dice and see how well. Oh wait, agility plus 3D. What?
Stun attack. Oh. Agility plus 3 dice. It's a tear gas grenade. It's right there in the modern weapons.
Yeah, he's got me. Len's got me on that one. Len gave me a reality check on that one. I'm thinking about an old rule again. So yes, so your agility is 9, although it's a mundane item, so only 6 dice will apply. So the maximum you can apply to mundane gear is 6. So you get your 6 dice out of your 9 agility plus the 3 dice. So you still get to roll 9 dice. So go ahead and roll 9 dice. And because these guys are 4 dice characters, I will simply just roll the 4 dice for them. So Vigilant is rolling 9 dice to effectively throw a gas grenade or stun pellets at these guys. And we're going to see what he gets.
And remember, it's an area attack, so however many he takes out, it's doubled.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Win on your roll there, Michael. So we got 6, a 6, a 5, a 2. So basically 2, 4, 5 results. I rolled 2 successes, and 5 versus 2 is 3. But as Len said, because it's an area effect attack against minions, it doubles. So all 5 guys in that fire team choke and fall over and have a nice nap. So if for those keeping count at home, 3 of the 5 groups of fire, the fire team, the RTB fire teams are out. This only leaves 10 guys, 2 groups of 5 left. So that would be that. Now we come to Citizen Soldier stepping up to the plate because he is next on the edge chart. David, what is Citizen Soldier doing? Okay, so crash that one. That one, trash that one. Okay, so David Scheinfeld, I'm waiting to see what you want to do with Citizen Soldier. So is anybody having any problem following what's going on at this point? These are basically superheroes versus minions and a lot of these things, but we have had a supervillain come out, and we got this like super speed fight going on between those two, and it was straight up super speed versus super speed because most of the time your simplest interpretation of what can apply is what applies. It doesn't mean you can't get really, really crazy with your, with ideas, but sometimes the straightforward stuff is going to be the thing to go. And yes, Len is absolutely correct. If you are playing, I need you to, be on deck and ready to go. I mean, I really appreciate Michael having that already preloaded, activity. So you guys do need to preload your stuff, as you know that's coming up. He will command them to put down their arms and give up. Okay, I like it. So he has a command of 6 dice. That's his talent, 6 dice. I'm going to go ahead, and because he's got leadership, even though it's a power that gives your opponent, your friends an ability, it does mean that he's just really good at this. And after all, of the 25 guys out there, 15 of them are unconscious. So I'm going to go ahead and give a bonus of 2 dice to this situation. So go ahead and roll 8 dice. Well, you know what? No, because you're trying to get both groups. So take 2 dice off again, but I'll let the 1 roll count for both groups. So you got plus 2 dice because of the circumstances, but minus 2 dice because you want to get all 10 of them to give up. So we're back down to 6 dice. But you go ahead and roll those 6 dice, and I'm going to count it for both groups. And then I will go ahead and roll 2 sets of 4 dice to represent both the groups resisting. And I have to have 2 different colors so I can keep track. So there we go. And there we go. Well, that's going to go badly. That's going to go very, very badly. And when I say that, I mean for them. Because each group got a 6. So each group got 2 successes at best. So let's see what David rolled. 6 successes. All right. So 6 successes versus the 2 would be 4 and 4, which would leave like 1 guy in each group kind of going, no, guys, we can do this. We're like, and because they're not stupid, they're like, fine, to hell with it. And they throw their guns down too. So for all intents and purposes, Citizen Soldier comes in and commands the rest of those guys to let it go. We must fight. No, we must flee. All right. So you guys have basically come in and trashed through the minions, although at this point Alabama Slammer and Skimmer are like zipping all around at super speed. Right about then, 2A Avenger steps out and says, what are you doing to my people? Those are my soldiers. You don't go commanding anybody on my compound. You are a traitor to everything I believe in. And I'm going to show you what that means. So the 2 Avenger comes out festooned. I mean, you can imagine, he's machine guns and shotguns and pistols and like 5 different holsters all over him. That's this guy. He's got just all kinds of firearms on him. So he's actually going to come out and he's going to unload on Citizen Soldier because you're the one that did that and kind of insulted him. So he comes out with a grenade launcher with chunk, poof, and it's like this. Instead of it being a an explosive grenade. Well, it's like a very small explosive grenade, but it's just this nasty, almost grenade-sized shotgun round that's going to hit you right in the chest. So, Citizen Soldier, David, this is not an area effect attack. It's just a cool grenade effect is all I'm saying. So it's a straight-up blast. Your best defense in this case is armor of 12 dice. And you're going to want to use that because that, again, it's your best defense against this particular attack. And I'm rolling 12 dice to affect for the purposes of his attack. So you go ahead and roll 12 dice in defense. I will roll 12 dice in attack. We'll see whose dice hates who or loves who more. Oh, and this was a really neat thing that I got for Christmas. So, a special rule about when you're rolling lots of dice in a game like this, if you have a die tray, you got to make sure you don't leave any dice in the tray because it confuses things. We discovered this recently. All right. So I have a 6. I've got some 4s and you know what? Right now, just going to tell you right enough. I am spending one of my adversity. I don't have any chips on hand. I will use my vitamin chews. So I'm spending one of my adversity to re-roll because he is absolutely kind of crazy about this kind of thing, and he does not want to embarrass himself. So he's going to re-roll. I spent an adversity to re-roll. Hopefully getting... Oh my God, there are so many 5s in this tray. There are so many 5s in this tray. So the best result I got was 6. So let's see what Citizen Soldier got against my 6. Now, I want to be clear, you get your best result. So I rolled 6 successes, and then I rolled like 3 successes the second time. So I get to stick with my 6. 6 successes. So he uses his armor to take it, and he rolled 6 successes. So that's 6 versus 6, which means 0 net successes on the attack. So what that means is, boom, it slams up against him. It maybe causes him to take like a step back because it hit really hard, but no damage got through. And so the Citizen Soldier gets to just shake it off. And but then 2 Avenger is like, guess I'm going to need the armor-piercing rounds. And starts going in for something like that. Finally, Scorpius comes stomping out with his tail kind of wagging around. Now, because Vigilant wanted to do the cool sneak thing, we're going to go ahead and have him roll his, I'm going to check to see if he's got any special abilities for sneaking around. He's got a covert ability of 6 dice. He does not have anything else super powered. So what I want you to do for me real quick there, Michael Walsh, is roll your covert for me to see if he spots you anyway, because if not, then he's going to go ahead and blast Citizen Soldier instead. He has a perception of 3D, but he does have super senses that give him acute vision of 5D, and he's got night and thermal, so he's going to be able to, he have a decent chance of spotting you. So you go ahead and roll that covert while I roll this, and we'll see how you do. Michael Walsh, that's you. I'm waiting on. Anybody have any questions at this point? Is everything making sense? Already did the 75. What? I'm sorry. Oh, you guys talking about pledge levels. So does anybody have any questions about what they're seeing so far? Or is it everything making sense? Just please bring your questions into the chat. We want to make sure everybody's so he got 8 successes versus my 2. Nope, sorry, he says 10 successes. Oh my God. So you are a ghost. You are gone. No one knows you're there. You drop those stun pellets and disappear. So unfortunately, Citizen Soldier, you being the most well-known and potentially dangerous one there, now there's no fleek or flaw going in here, but you're just the most likely target for Scorpius. So his tail comes up over his head and kaboom! It's kind of sad though, because Scorpius would have loved to have seen and attacked his enemy, but his enemy is hiding. So you need to roll that armor again. And I have, oh my God. I wish you guys could. There is all 3s, 1s, and 5s in this tray. So people who've gamed with me before, and Len's one of them, he's been there. He's seen my dice do this to me. They absolutely betray me. So there goes my second adversity for the night as I re-roll, trying to do something that's not totally embarrassing. So let's try that again.
Take the average. I know how you roll. Take the average.
No, but you want this. Yeah. Oh, 2, 4, 5, 6. I got 6 successes out of it, and that's only because I rolled 2 6s. So, David, looking to see. Oh, you got 4 successes on that one. I got 6 successes. So he actually does manage to blast you pretty hard, and you take a couple of points of damage. Now, Citizen Soldier has a health of 12, so I'm betting you're probably fine with going, ow, that hurt, and then showing him what for later. Let me know if you decide you would rather re-roll or spend resolve on that. But I'm betting you're thinking, yeah, I can handle that. Let's see what's going on in chat real quick. I see the merch ideas flying. Leonard, take the average. Take the average. Oh, yes, of course. All right, so, okay, there's a Michael correcting something from before. It doesn't matter. You did great anyway. All right, so that was Scorpius coming out and blasting Citizen, and he says he's going to take. So Citizen Soldier does stagger back a couple of steps. That plasma blast hurt really, really bad. But we are back around to page 2. That was 1 page of action. Now, these games actually go way, way faster under normal circumstances. The table, that would have taken about half the time. But I'm spending a lot of time communicating via chat and describing actions and teaching here. But I think you guys can see how smooth and quickly this stuff actually does go. So a page is around, or well, turn, depends on your terminology, but yes, at one time of everybody going is a comic book page. That's pretty much what that is. All right, so we are in the second page of the comic, or the second page of the combat part of this comic book. We had a few more pages prior where we did the investigation stuff. So we are back around to Alabama Slammer, and I would like to know what Alabama Slammer is doing. So let me go and see. Gonna make the other speedster regret trying to hit a girl, and we'll try to do a lightning punch by generating speed to cause the static electricity to build. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that we can, that we can interpret that. One is that it's, we actually are trying to do a stunt. And for example, if Alabama Summer literally wanted to do the throw a lightning bolt at range, Brett would spend a resolve to stunt that power, because that is a really cool idea. But in this case, it's just a really neat description of a super speed attack in close range against the other thing, or against the other guy. So Brett went ahead and generated the rolls. 13 successes. Holy crap! Brett's dice are on fire tonight, obviously. So here's me rolling to see if he can somehow get out of the way of this. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 successes out of the 13 minus 9 is 4. Skimmer has 7 health. He's down to 3 as he takes that hit, screams, goes flying off. Static, the electricity is just blinding off of him. He actually goes crashing back into the main building and disappears, screaming the whole way. So that was one hell of a hit that Alabama Slammer just did. However, it is now Skimmer's turn. And on his turn, the scene shows him getting up out of a pile of boxes of ammo and MREs, and he's got like ham loaf stuck all over his costume. He's brushing it off as he gets up. Oh, little girl, you've done hacked me off. So he comes running out, and he's actually going to go all out. He's like so hacked off. He's like, ah! Actually, I say all out. What he's doing is he's doing. I take it back. He's doing a charge. He's doing a charge attack, which is going to give him +2 dice. He's using a super speed, which is a movement power. So he's getting a charge attack, +2 dice on his attack. However, it does mean that his defense is down 2 dice. So you guys need to remember that, so that when you attack him before his next turn, he's lost 2 dice. So he's actually going to roll 14 dice this time on his attack versus your defense. Now, Brett, you can do what's called an all-out defend to try to offset his bonus. However, if you do, you will lose your next action to do so. But you'll get the +2 dice to defend until you go again. So it's a decision you need to make there. If you just want to count on your dice, then count on your dice. And I'm rolling 14 dice against you this time. So I'm checking the QA to see if there's anything going on over there. Come on, little man runs to deck AA. I'm not sure who AA is. David, you're going to need to be clear for me who AA is. There's Skimmer. There's 2A. Do you mean 2A Avenger? Oh, 2A. You want to get 2A Avenger. Got it. Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But this is Skimmer going. And I've got quite a few successes going on here. Not too bad. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 11. I got 11 successes. No, that's why I said Lady Darling was that was from roleplay from before. I jumped ahead on that and I apologize, but that was a cool thing she said after she decked him. But right now, Brett, I need to know what you're doing for your defense. You know how well you need to roll your defense. Her. I see. Well, it took me a second to actually parse that. So, Brett, we're looking for a defense roll from you. And I'm checking in. I see what Vigilant is going to be doing. And I see what 10 successes versus my 11. So that means you've taken another. Well, no, you didn't take any damage because you spent Resolve before. Now you've taken a point of damage. So you again have the same decision. I'm not going to stay and wait for you guys to decide. You need to go ahead and quickly make the decision if you're spending Resolve. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're taking that point of damage. So he comes out, bam, and manages to catch you right there and really, really knock your bell. So it hurt because, he hit you and he did a point of damage. So actually, there it is. That was his result. All right, so that was Skimmer. So next up is Vigilant, and we've already got Vigilant saying that next turn would like to use Powers Weakness Detection on Skimmer to assist Alabama. Is this just analyzing turn, or is this an actual action against Skimmer? You take an action to do it, so you could do multiple action if you wanted. Now, here's the thing. I'm just going to go ahead and point this out. Weakness Detection is very, very good against high passive defense characters. So Vigilant, you may want to change that because obviously Skimmer is not a high passive defense character, whereas Scorpius really is a high passive defense character. 2A Avenger is also a pretty high both 2A Avenger and Scorpius are high passive defense characters. So Weakness Detection would actually be more effective against one of them. So if you want to go ahead and switch that over to somebody else, then you'd have the option of doing that as an action. And then if you did attack somebody the same round, you'd be at -2 dice, but you'd be cutting their passive defenses in half. So, we checked that already. So what I'm asking, Michael, is would you want to switch that over to a character that's going to be more effective on? Because your character would know that. Meanwhile, I see that Citizen Soldier, who will be going next, is going after 2A Avenger. Change it to Scorpius. Okay, very good. So there is no roll. By taking the action, you are detecting the weakness on Scorpius's armor. So if you choose to attack Scorpius, he will only get to use half his ranks of armor to defend against you, or he'll have to default to an active defense. So now you guys are getting to see a situation where the decision between active and passive defense is a thing. Do you want to go ahead and make your attack now, or do you want to wait well, you know what? Honestly, there's no harm in going and doing an attack now at -2 dice. You'll just, on your next action, you'll get full dice. So if I were you, I would go ahead and do it. So his armor is 12 dice, but because you did weakness detection on him, that becomes 6 dice. However, you do take -2 dice on your attack. I just remembered. Weakness detection is -2 dice if you want to get the half effect. So you're -2 dice on the attack, which means you'd actually be at 8 dice for this particular attack. But he would only have 6 dice armor to defend, and he has an agility of 4 dice, so he's not going to default to an active defense because his agility's crap and he doesn't have anything else. So you'd be rolling basically 8 dice versus his 6 dice to attack him this round. So do you want to go ahead and do that? Because he took an action to do the weakness detection, and it's -2 dice when you use weakness detection to try to penetrate somebody's armor. So that's a -4 dice total because of that if he attacks this round. But you may as well. There's no loss to doing so. If you had limited charges or something, maybe, but otherwise it's really no loss to do so. And I'm assuming that you're running up and using martial arts on him because, as I recall, that is your best attack ability.
He's got 10 dice with his Eskrima sticks.
Yes, 10 dice with the Eskrima sticks. So, so 10 dice. Yes. So that, yeah. I was misremembering how many dice he was rolling. So, yeah. Okay. 2 Qatars, 8 dice. 5 successes. All right. Well, I'm rolling six dice for Scorpius, who freaks out when you come out of the darkness. And apparently really freaks out because he only rolled 2 successes versus your 5, which means you will actually do 3 points of damage to him. Well, bam! He turns around. You! I will crush you! I remember you from the old country. I shall send you back in a pine box. So, you now have his full and undivided attention. Citizen Soldier, you decided to step up on the second 2A Avenger, and you smacked him for 8 successes with your might. He will roll his armor, which is 12 dice, and we'll see how that does. Wow. Apparently my dice decided to wake up and help me out here. Because holy wow, this was a really, really good roll. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 successes. So you walk up to him, well, bam! He kind of steps into it, takes it on the chest, looks up at you. I may be smaller than you, but I have the righteousness of the Second Amendment flowing through my veins. So that's what happened there. And in fact, it is his turn. And so he will take a step back from you, pulling out a really, really large pistol and go blam, 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 right in your face. So we will go ahead and resolve that action. As he opens fire, again, rolling 12 dice. This is basically a 12-die game, and most of these guys are throwing that level. So you need to roll your defense there, Mr. Scheinfeld. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So I got 8 successes on that one. Quite a few 6s that time. I'm interested to see how Mr. Citizen Soldier does on his defenses. So you guys can see the back and forth, the hammer and tongs, the flow. There's a lot of things happening, but they're happening pretty quickly. You can do a lot of cool stuff and have the grand super battles. And as a GM, it's such a dream for me because I can quickly pick up on what somebody wants to do. And a lot of stuff is pretty straightforward. It's, I roll my armor to defend. I roll my fists to attack. Or I roll my guns to attack. But you can also do really, really cool creative stuff, either because you want to describe it in a really interesting and fun way, or you can just get really creative and stunt your powers or use your powers in really interesting ways. 7 versus what I said. So Citizen Soldier will take 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, you'll take a point of damage. So he actually shoots you, and that gun hurt. That gun hurt quite a bit. And Citizen Soldier staggers back, taking a nasty shot. Now, we get to Scorpius, who, as he said, is going to attempt to crush Vigilant. Vigilant has an agility of 9D. He has martial. So his agility is going to be his best active defense. And he does not have much in the way. He's got an armored bodysuit, which would give him a passive defense of 60. So at this point, well, actually, no, I take that back. I forget what I was going to have him do. He's actually going to reach out and grab you. He's actually going to use a grappling or try to get you in a hold. So we get to see a little bit here of what some special rules for this kind of thing look like. So he's going to make a might check, and you're going to want to definitely make an agility check to get out of the way of this thing, because that's going to be your best bet for trying to avoid being grappled with him. So Michael, go ahead and roll your agility, which is 9 dice. while he uses his might of 12 dice. So he's very angry at you and does not like you because, well, you are an enemy. So he's trying to grab you and physically crush you. This may be a situation where you've got that pile of resolve, Michael, 8 resolve, which you've not spent but 1 of so far. This is where you might want to look at spending additional resolve to get additional dice. That's the kind of situation that Captain America would want to use against the Hulk, for example. Then again, with my dice rolling this kind of crappy. Well, there goes the last of my adversity. Because I'm spending it because Scorpius really, really hates you and wants you to be grappled. So I spent the last of my adversity. I have no more adversity left, but I'm re-rolling this because it was absolute garbage. So we'll try again and see if I get any better this time. Well, I definitely got better. Maybe not much better, but I definitely got better. Yeah, well, that's that. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 successes. What did you get? Still waiting on Michael to roll his defense. Oh, there we go. So agility 9D, 6, 6, and then a 4 in there. So 2, 4, 5. Then you spent 3 resolve to get, 6, 6, 4. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So he goes for the grapple, and he gets really close. That tail comes sweeping around. He brings in his heavy arms. You manage to duck at the last possible second, do basically a somersault roll between his legs and come out behind him and avoid being grappled by him. Now, if I had gotten 1 or 2 successes on you, he would have what's called a partial hold, in which case you'd be kind of stuck trying to get away from him, but you wouldn't be completely immobilized. But if I'd gotten 3 or more net successes on you, you would have completely gotten away, or you would have been completely grappled, and you would not be able to do any kind of actions whatsoever except just try to break out physically. At that point, you'd been pretty much using your martial arts to try to break free from him. But that didn't happen. Now, the RTB Patriot minions would go now, except they all surrendered or got knocked out. So we're back up to the top, and we are on the 3rd page. It is now Alabama Slimer's turn again. We already had Brett's line up the actions. Being mischievous, I'm going to use my speed to trip up Skimmer, making him slam into a wall, fence, lamp, or post. So, again, there's 2 ways this could be interpreted. We could call this a straight-up attack with a really neat description, or we could call this a strategic attack. At this point, I think that she's more about making him look bad while she beats the crap out of him, so we're going to call it an attack instead. And she got 7 successes in doing so. So we're going to go ahead and roll for his. Oh, wait. He only gets 10 dice because he did the charge last time. So I only get to roll 10 dice this time in my defense, because that was the penalty for going and getting the extra dice before. Oh, my God. I got 2 successes. 2 successes on 10 dice. And I have no more adversity left. So you did 7 versus his 2, which means you, in fact, trip him up. He goes flying through the wall, the fence. So he goes into the fence, and the fence is an electrified fence. So he goes into the fence. Yeah! His cybernetics start popping and sparking and catch fire, and he staggers some more, and he falls unconscious. So Skimmer is out of the fight. So that was that. Well done, Alabama Slammer. So Skimmer doesn't get to go. So now it is Vigilant's turn. So let's see what Vigilant has going this time. Vigilant, you're up. And Citizen Soldier, you are on deck. So that was really, really good and really painful for my bad guy. Oh, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. The +1 die for the neat description. I would have totally.
Not relevant. You kicked his butt.
Yeah, but it was a cool idea. So, by the way, Len, if because I'm paying attention to the QA side of things, just to make sure I don't miss things. So if something like that pops up, go ahead and talk out loud, make sure I don't miss it. But yeah, Slammer took him out anyway. And Brett's like that. I've run for Brett before. Brett's dangerous. I'm going to attempt to grab the gun. Okay, so that's That is Citizen Soldier. Got it. No problem. What I need to know is what Michael is doing as Vigilant. So this girl don't need no charity. Ah, ha, ha. That's funny. Scorpius has a metal battlesuit. That is correct. It is a big old powerful metal battlesuit. Yes. So I wonder what he's got planned. So what would you do, folks, if you were in the situation and you had a very Batman-esque character who could have preparation where he happens to have the right thing at the right time if he spends a resolve, and he's got a huge pile of resolve? Be thinking about, think about that. What would you do if you had that kind of character? And David, since that's what you're going to try to do, I'd say go ahead and roll your might check for that. So you have that line, you have that keyed up. And again, Michael, I'm waiting to see what you're doing here. And the whole world's watching. Well, all 35 of us anyway. I would spend a resolve to ask you to tell me about this guy. What are his fears, his weaknesses? And that would be a fair thing to ask. It'd be a very thing. I'm going to spend a resolve and throw out an electromagnet to try to have his arms stick together and then bend over and get stuck to his legs. If I spend more resolve, can it be more powerful? Well, that's exactly how that would be. What happens there is the additional resolve would be extra dice, is how that would work. So I like the concept. I'm going to basically give it the same dice I would give the stun grenade. You're going to get the 3. You're going to use your 6 dice agility. It's going to be a +3 dice effect essentially in this case. What we're going to call it in this case is a variation on an electromagnetic effect, which would actually more or less stun or incapacitate the target. So you're basically trying to incapacitate him. So you're going to get 9 dice for pulling out the cool electromagnetic gadget and trying to incapacitate him. Perfect way to do this. Not a problem. Straight up incapacitation to check based on his technology. If you want to spend an additional resolve, like he suggested, you might find out something that's useful. So you ask how many resolve that cost. Well, it's 1 for 1 if you just want extra damage or extra dice. So, for example, if you wanted to spend resolve to make sure you roll like 12 dice of effect, then you just spend 3 more resolve to make that 9 dice into 12 dice. If you want to spend a resolve like Len suggested, so that you figure out if he has any kind of a weakness you can exploit, then you spend a resolve for that as well. Again, you're sitting on a pile, and with the tide is turned. This might be the time to really go all in with some resolve spend, is what the GM is suggesting.
When you think about Vigilant's character, that preparation power really is the Batman power, not so much his ability to pull something out at random, but the fact that he probably did research about the guy days or weeks ago. The first time this guy showed up on the radar, probably Vigilant, did research, pulled up files, pulled up whatever. So you can spend a point saying, I've read everything there is to know about this guy. Tell me about his battle suit. Does it have any weaknesses? Tell me about him. Is he afraid of anything? If I say the word sheep, will he pass out? Whatever the case may be. So that's when you think about preparation, it's a tricky power to put into the quick start, but it allows creative people to think about what that word means. This is somebody who is always prepared. You got to figure out how that would work into the fiction, but someone who does a lot of research, who always is ready for villains with different powers and that kind of thing, might give you some ideas as to what you might be able to do with a simple resolve.
So, what are you saying, Michael? Looking for your next entry here. So, how many resolve you want to spend, and what do you want to spend them on, is what we're getting down to. With the idea that somebody in the chat already said, spend them if you got them, and then you can beat Batman once. Yeah, that is all too true. You can beat Batman once, but then he's going to know what to do. So, Michael, we are waiting on. Oh, there we go. I have 4 left. I'd like to spend 2 for 11 dice. I have a history with my brother, so I know his suit has weak points. So you can spend 2 to get +2 dice. Are you spending any more? Or are you you're gonna hold on to the other 2? If you don't say, I'm just gonna assume that you're just rolling the 11 dice, and we'll go on to that. So, assuming that's what you're doing, spending the 11 dice as what is effectively a stun effect, That means he gets to use either his toughness or an active defense to try to resist this. Well, actually, no, because this is more like an electromagnetic blast thing. No, you know what? Toughness still works because he's got a boosted toughness effect essentially from the suit. So we're just going to call it that. All right, so he did not spend anything else. He just wanted to do that. So, all right, we will. And I get, really? So you got 7 successes versus my 4 successes. So here's a result. Here's what a special effect power looks like. So everybody, this is an interesting thing to know. There's damage, and then there's special effect. Special effect is I entangle you, I knock you out I stun you for a minute, I dazzle you, I turn you into a frog, I take your powers away, that kind of thing. Special effect powers, it's the exact same paradigm no matter what. And that's one of the things that I love so much about this game. Every 2 net successes round up counts as a page of effect. So you got 3 net successes, which means for 2 pages, the effect you described happens. His arm's pinned to his side, and all of a sudden he bends over way further than he should. He's screaming as his spine is being bent in ways it really, really should not be. The tail also slams down and slashes into his face. And there's that moment that's kind of like R2-D2 in the first Star Wars movie. Thud. He just falls over like a trash can. And he's going to be like that for 2 pages. Now, there's nothing I can do because I've blew all my adversity. Now, when his next action comes around, he could try for a passive effect to get out of that, but I don't even think it's going to last that long. So that was a really, really good move, and he's currently just messed up. So going for the magnetic entangle, more or less, that's what we got going on there. All right, so the next person to go would be Citizen Soldier. David already suggested he was going through. I'm going to attempt to grab the gun. And he went in and rolled and got 7 successes. All right, so that's the 2A Avenger who's trying to defend against that. He would either use an active defense, which would be evasion in this case, to try to get away from you, or he might use his martial arts to try to oppose you. He's going to use his martial arts to try to oppose this. We'll go ahead and roll his 10 dice of martial arts and see how well he does. To try to get his gun away from you. 2, 4, 6, 7. So he actually got 7 successes as well. So almost, just almost grabbed the gun, but he manages to yank it just out of the way. Close, but not quite. So that brings us to the 2A Avenger, who basically, if it worked once, it might work again. However, actually, no. He's going to take this action to kind of step back and study you really hard and intently. And then he's going to go, blah, 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 looking for a weak point. So he's got 12 dice, but he spent an action, drops it to 10. Using the weakness detection, drops it to 2 more. So he's rolling 8 dice.
Not an action. Not an action. He's rolling 10 dice.
I thought it was an action.
No, sir.
Oh. Okay, never mind. 10 dice. So he's rolling 10 dice against you, minus 2 dice for the weakness detection. I got that wrong. It used to cost you an action. So you either want to use your passive defense, which in this case is only 6 dice, because he's cutting it in half, or you want to use an active defense, which unfortunately is going to be the same thing, agility 6 dice, because I don't think you have any. Nope. So either way, you're rolling 6 dice this time, David, because he's cutting your armor in half, which knocks it to 6 dice, or you're dodging out of the way, which is 6 dice as well. So you go ahead and roll 6 versus the 10 that I'm rolling. Hello. Everybody, that's Corinne, our editor-in-chief. Do I need to read this right now?
Yes. Well, I don't have to, actually. I don't have to. I completely missed, David. Don't even worry about it. You could auto success out of that. I rolled utter garbage on that one. So you managed to dodge out of the way. The bullets go flying wide. You are fine. At which point, by the way, the 2A Avengers like, that's enough. I've had enough of this. And he takes off running for the other side of the compound and vaults over the fence to run away, at which point Scorpius is like all pinned up going, I would like to surrender now if that would be being okay with the rest of you. So the 2 Avenger, and I'm invoking a little narrative thing here. I didn't have any adversity to spend, so I might say, okay, next game I'll give you all bonus resolve to make up for the fact that I didn't have any adversity to spend. But either way, I'm letting the 2 Avenger get away on this one because he's pretty much done. You pretty much effectively defeated Scorpius, and Skimmer's out, and all the other guys are out. So you guys absolutely come in. I know it was a tough fight, and you took some damage. You take down these guys and secure the base and disrupt 2 Avengers' plans. However, 2 Avenger will be back one day to get his revenge. So, well done. Nice job, guys. I hope you guys had a good time with that. And there it is. That was a cool little encounter with some cool combat. You guys got to see a lot of how this game works. You got to see how special effects work, how straight up attacks work, how talents work, how to team up with people. There's a lot of things that we didn't get a chance to do, like teamwork attacks and things, but you got a chance to see the nice juicy bits. And those of you who are Prowlers and Paragons fans from the original system, you can see a lot of the similarities. You can see where we built on top of that and we expanded stuff out. It being 7:40, we've gone a bit. We've actually gone an hour and 40 minutes. So I appreciate everyone's attention. I mean, we've maintained a very solid attention. People have been with us the whole time, which I really appreciate. We're going to give it another 5 minutes for any last minute comments or questions, and then we'll do a wrap up here. So that's true. I hadn't taken my glasses off yet. We were not far from that. We were not far from the glasses off. Great job. Systems flow so smoothly. Leonard, great job designing. Sean, great job running. It's been an honor, gentlemen. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that very, very kindly. Leonard is absolutely my favorite designer going. So, that was
also
really
my mom's favorite designer.
You're your mom's favorite designer too. Well, your mom's your mom. And that's a thing. So again, any questions about what happened? Does anybody have any confusions they would like to get settled up? Poor David. David Scheinfeld, thank you. I'm sorry that your dice mostly betrayed you, but hey, that was a really great move you did on getting rid of the rest of the minions. So total credit on that one. But yeah, your dice were not kind to you tonight, which again is what Resolve is for. Len, you got anything else that you want to put out there while we're waiting to see if there's any other questions?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if anyone has any questions, if any questions come to mind afterwards, obviously feel free to hit us up on Facebook or to post a question on the Kickstarter page. If there's anything that didn't make sense or whatever the case may be, obviously. There's a lot more nuance to the game, but the core of what you saw, which is I roll, you roll, who rolled more. All right, that person won. If the winner is the attacker, you do some damage or you do a special effect. If the winner's a defender, the attack misses or bounces off. That core mechanism is really the dynamic of the whole game. And while the rules give you some specifics as to pros and cons, honestly, at the end of the day, if you were to forget everything, if one character has an advantage, you give them an extra die or two. And that's about it. And then you just roll those dice and compare successes. The rest is nuance.
Yeah, and again, we got to see some real creativity. Like when Michael wanted to do a thing with a relatively mundane but prepared for gadget, it was very easy for me to adjudicate that as, here's what the effect of that's going to be. It's going to freeze him up. It's going to cause him basically a stun effect. Which causes him slight incapacitation, unable to move, whatever. It's really, really, it's mushy, but in the right way. It is really forgiving for the GM to go, yeah, straight up. It's this dice versus these dice, and you get this cool effect for a certain amount of time. And it really lets players go ahead. It really lets players go nuts with creativity while GMs feel empowered to reward that creativity and not feel like that they're just getting to push an I win button doing it.
Someone asked a question about, do you ever use agility plus a talent? The answer is no, you never do. Every talent is a separate thing. Agility tends to be an uber stat in every game. So It's certainly useful in this one as well, but I'm hoping we've minimized its uber statness a little bit by the fact that talents are separate and distinct. So that way you can have the character that's not too agile but is a tremendously good thief, or you can have the characters that are extremely agile but can't necessarily pick locks or whatever the case may be. So agility that's not really the case. Occasionally you're in the situation where you use like the worst of two talents, but that's super rare, and I'll be entirely honest, I don't even know if that's in the current iteration. So
I don't think it is.
Use one talent. Sometimes you can just use the better of a couple of different talents. Like, for example, when Citizen Soldier is threatening the goons or telling the goons, hey, you guys should give up, he can use command, or, you know, if Citizen Soldier is walking up, crumpling a tank into a ball of steel while he's saying, I think you guys should give up, I would absolutely let Citizen Soldier make a might roll for that social interaction. If you're crumpling a tank into a basketball while you're telling people to give up, I mean, it's a fairly strong argument for using might to make a command roll in that context. So that would be the only time you would do multiple traits, but you'd never add them together. So I hope that answers that question. There's another question about weakness detection.
Yeah, so I was going. I had an answer for that one. Basically, I tried to point out that there most of the time you just use your best defense. Whatever your best defense is, you just do it. No question asked. It's assuming you're dodging and moving out of the way, but maybe you get hit and whatever armor you have is going to get in the way. It's assumed you're doing all the things, but you always just use the best roll. However, there are some conditions under which passive defense is the better choice or active defense is the better choice. Where you have penetration, the penetrating pro, I should say, weakness detection, those are really the two key situations where, passive defense is not as effective. Using weakness detection, you'd use it against passive defense. It has no effect against active defense. However, area effect attacks are really good for dealing with somebody who is a high active defense thing. So in that situation, Michael, where you were thinking about Vigilant trying to help against Skimmer, you would have actually wanted to use like an area effect, like a grenade or stun bomb or something like that, because he's a high active defense character. So area effect is a really good action to take against active defense characters, whereas weakness detection or the penetrating pro are really good against passive defense characters. So that's the situation there. You want weakness detection against big tanks, against, a battle suit guy or Hulk or whatever, who are not going to have as high on the active defense kind of thing. And you're going to want against Flash or something like that, you're going to be throwing grenades at him or, area effect blasts.
Weakness detection will help you against Rhino. Area effects will help you against Spider-Man.
Bang. Exactly that. All right, folks, we are past the 7:45 mark. So unless there is anything else, I'm going to do a quick, numbers check on our Kickstarter. And then I'm going to give last word to Len, and then we're going to call it. So we currently have $13,088 and 182 backers with 18 days to go. So we've done incredibly well. But if you guys are excited about this, you want to help us really get the momentum going on this. We want to bring way more people into this. So really, there's just no other way to do this. Each and every one of you needs to reach out to the gaming communities that you know, to the superhero fans that you know. If you're active on forums that we're not active on, if you're active in social media spaces that we're not active on, grab that link. Grab the link to the free rules as well. Use both of them. Make sure you go, here's the Kickstarter and here's a free set of rules so you can look at it before you get involved with the Kickstarter. Spread that stuff around for us, folks. I mean, I don't mean just spam, right? Nobody wants to feel like they're spamming, but just one good plug in some spaces that we're not reaching is going to help us get a lot more cool people watching. Also, if any of you know somebody who's got a podcast, a blog, or anything like that you can put us in touch with so we can talk to them and get them excited about this, please, we'd love to get the hookup.